Feel free to say hi to each other, you guys, because this is kind of the time to just say hi, chit chat, and whatever you guys would like to do before we start.
Hello,
Welcome.
everyone.
Hi,
Welcome
Judy.
back, Trish. Hey, I just saw Trish. She popped up on my screen. I wanted to say welcome back. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Good morning.
Good morning. Wait, who was that? I don't see the face that said hi.
Rachel.
Oh, Rachel. Hey, Rachel. So TTMA, for those of you guys who have never joined, we're very personable. So we highly suggest to show your face and say hi at the beginning, since you won't be able to show your face later and say hi.
Hey, Carrie.
Hi, Diana. How are you?
How are you? Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Carrie, it's like the good old days. You're at a TTMA event.
I know. You look gorgeous, Sarah. It's good to see you too.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, David. I don't know if David can hear us.
Hello, hello.
I'm still having my coffee and my 2000. This is my 2012 Disneyland mug from New Year's Eve.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hey, Mary.
Hi.
Hi, David.
Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Hi, David.
Hi.
I know everyone looks so nice. I don't.
Kevin Lorton, you should show your face, Kevin.
I know, Kevin never shows his face, so now if we
Hey,
call him out,
Gary.
he might.
I'm doing it.
Everybody.
I get all
Hey,
dressed
Gary.
up for this. Gary.
Hey.
I didn't.
Yeah, you look great, Sarah.
Aw, thanks, Dee. You too.
Is there something?
Hey, Diana, congratulations on getting called back to work. That's
Thank
fabulous.
you. Woo woo.
Yes, that's really great news.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Am I underdressed?
Hi, Tony.
Hi.
Hey, Jessica and Terry and Susan.
Nice to see you guys.
You too. We have about 38 participants, so we're gonna wait because I know there was over 100 RSVPs. So we'll probably wait another few minutes until we get started.
Oh, Jerry. Hi, Jerry.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning,
Hi,
Dan.
Dan.
I'm gonna run and go get some water.
Hey, Sarah, we already have 6 people watching our Facebook.
I know Judy helped promote it on the Leisure Pass group LinkedIn and on her personal LinkedIn. I promoted on my Facebook this morning as well.
That's awesome.
Thanks to Trevor, we get to learn all kinds of cool techie stuff.
Yeah. Thanks to Trevor.
Well, you won't believe where I am right now.
Where are you?
I'm in Vegas doing a job right now.
Whoa.
That's good. That's awesome.
Literally right after we finished talking, I got a phone call from a new client, and they're like, hey, can you help us on a job? I'm like, sure.
Yeah, what are you doing? Wiretapping?
No, I'm doing they're doing a photo shoot at a wedding venue, and I did some uplighting.
Nice.
Trevor, let me know if you want to go to Madame Tussauds.
Okay.
Because you haven't been, right?
I haven't been there.
Okay.
Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie looks a little frozen. I don't know.
Hey, Karen.
Hi.
How are you?
Karen.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Karen.
This reminds me of Romper Room a little bit. Anyone that old?
Both of them are. Go ahead.
I remember Romper Room.
That's not the first time I've heard that Zoom is like Romper Room either.
That's funny.
Yeah. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
Glad you joined.
A lot of familiar faces this morning.
I definitely see some new names too that I'm not personally familiar with, so I appreciate everybody who's joined today. Just for those who are joining at the beginning, this is your time to show your face and say hi to everybody if you'd like to. We'll start the program in just a couple of minutes. Hi, Wendy.
Hi. Whoever said hi. I looked away.
Looking good, Wendy.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Steve. Good to see your face. He's keeping quiet.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I was on mute. Hi. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Great.
Oh, look, we got Joe all the way from the Midway Museum in San Diego. Woohoo!
I see Hearst Castle here too.
Yeah, Jim from Hearst Castle. Hi, Jim.
Joe. Joe, where's Tom Cruise?
He was here recently, actually. We shot a new promo video, and he made a quick appearance, but not today. Sorry.
That's okay. I look forward to that new movie coming out.
Yeah, everybody does.
All right, we're going to start in just about a minute. I know we only have 50 participants now, but I want to honor everybody's time. I know we have the behind-the-scenes team, Trevor and Misha, who are helping run all of this. Hopefully, everything goes smooth.
No.
Hopefully, you guys don't hear my dogs barking. I kind of locked them in the dungeon. All right, Misha, do you want to start and share your screen?
Hi, Jane.
All right, perfect. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another virtual TTMA event. It's hard to believe that we are now hosting our 4th virtual event. As I recall, when this all first began, we looked at virtual events as such a temporary solution to our monthly luncheons. As we are 7 months in, 4 virtual events later, lots of patience, hard work, strength, and still pushing forward. If everybody doesn't mind muting themselves, that would be very helpful as well. In comparison to our last 3 events, I am happy to say that California is in a much better place, despite some of the cities still not being as open as others. It's been a little over a month since Governor Newsom released his blueprint for a safer economy, when 38 counties were in the most restrictive purple tier, where most indoor businesses remain closed. This week, that number is down to only 16 counties. The state also just announced that health, safety, business, and economic development agencies will tour California theme parks this week. I won't dive too deep into this, since I'm sure the majority of everyone on this Zoom has been on webinar after webinar, including updates on a city and state level, but it has been nice to see some movement in a positive direction. As I said at the last 3 events, we are all in this together, and we want you to know that TTMA will continue to support any of our members to the best ability we can. Please don't hesitate to reach out with job postings, job inquiries, or ideas on how we can assist and support you in promoting your business. Thank you to all of our members and guests for joining us today. As we have a very special guest speaker, we have had an overwhelming response to this month's virtual event. Due to the fact that our Zoom can only accommodate 100 guests, and not too sure if we'll make that 100, but we'll see, we will be streaming this live on our TTMA Facebook page as well. If you know of anyone who wasn't able to join, you can let them know to log on to our Facebook to view today's program. Misha will add that link to the chat box now. We will also be sending out today's presentation to all attendees, so you can share this with your team as well. As it is a tradition, I'd like to begin this program with introductions of all of the attendees. As we have been for the last couple of virtual events, we will utilize the chat feature on Zoom to do so. Please feel free to use the chat to say hello to your colleagues, introduce yourself, and share any message that you'd like to for the next few minutes. If you are a guest of TTMA or this is your first TTMA event, please let us know as well. And I'll stop talking and let you guys chat. I heard somebody say that the sound was gone, and I don't know if that was because I was muted, but can everybody hear okay?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I can.
What a great group. I love the positive thing about hosting on Zoom is there's people from all over joining. So Santa Clarita, San Diego, I see Long Beach. I think Andy might be in San Francisco. I don't know.
I'm in Petaluma now, but
Petaluma.
San Francisco again one day.
Seems like the chats are slowing down. Any last words, get them in now. And you can feel free to chat during the program, of course. Well, thank you guys all for joining again. Before we start today's special program, I'd like to acknowledge our TTMA board. Our executive committee members, Kevin Lorton, past president, Diana Elmore, vice president, Carlos Montenegro, co-treasurer, Jerry Harris, co-treasurer, and Lauren Schlau, secretary, as well as all of our other board members and our TTMA administrator, Misha Boxer. And now for our program, please remember to keep yourself muted during the program and enable guest speaker view when it's just a speaker. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Roger Dow, President and CEO of U.S. Travel Association. As the leading travel industry advocate, Dow and his team regularly meet with executive branch and congressional leaders to advance policies that benefit the broader travel industry. His efforts have resulted in major legislative victories, including his instrumental role in establishing and renewing Brand USA. Most recently, Dow launched the Dow Report, a regular video series that features conversations with prominent CEOs from across all segments of the industry about their leadership and insights throughout the coronavirus pandemic. For his efforts to unify the travel industry and increase its effectiveness on Capitol Hill, Dow has been the recipient of multiple honors, including MPI's 2018 Industry Leader Award. Dow has also held seats on several boards and comes with many years of experience and passion in the industry. And without further ado, welcome to the State of the Travel Industry program with Roger Dow.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. And to all my friends in California, I wish I could be there in person with you. This is a poor substitute, but at least we're figuring out how to make these Zoom calls and go to meetings and all that work. But as you all know, it's no substitute for being there in person. First of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank everybody in California, which has to be, now they'll argue with me in Florida, but has to be the greatest travel state in America. And when you look at that, I want to thank for all you're doing. The industry throughout the state has so much to offer. You know, Sarah McCann, I want to thank you for inviting me to be part of this show. So let's get going. What I'm going to do is we're going to start at 30,000 feet and talk about what's going on and where we've been. And then at the end, if we have some time, I'll take some questions. Just don't make them too hard, okay? So first of all, pre-pandemic, I recall very vividly, it was like the first week of February, I was at the National Press Club, and each year we do the state of the travel industry, and the media comes to hear about our great industry. And I was telling them, I said, we're at a $2.6 trillion industry. We employ 15.8 million Americans. We have a $59 billion trade surplus. Travel's the #2 overall export in America, meaning if somebody from Germany buys a computer from, let's say, Apple, that's an export. If they travel to California, that's an export. So, and it's #1 services export. And I talked about how the fact that we've just come off 10 straight years of every single month being better than the month before. And now we just finished January being the 121st month in a row better than the month before. And I was telling them how fabulous and how 2020 was going to be a year like we never saw before. Well, little did I realize it was a year and is a year like we've never seen before. And the thing that we talk so much about travel and tourism, it's 83% small businesses. It's the lifeblood of so many communities. All of you out there understand, if there's one thing that's come out of this, I think it's a lot of communities realizing how important travel and tourism is to their economy. When you look at California, what is it, 1.2 million jobs, $145 billion last year, visitors to California spent. And I've always said years ago, when I was growing up, they used to say, as goes General Motors, goes America. General Motors was the bellwether for the U.S. economy. I believe that's been replaced these days in the past decade or so with as goes the travel industry, goes America. Because when you think about it, nothing happens until someone takes a trip. No one decides to, move to California. No one decides to build a business there, to start their own small business there. No one decides to buy a second home there. No one decides to go to, one of the great universities you have in California until they first made a trip. And so that's why travel, I think, is so important. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about the impact that travel and tourism has on our economy and forecast a little bit about what's going on. So if you can maybe take me off screen, we can put up some slides. I'd like to go through those slides if we could. So if we got the slides up, here we go. First of all, let's take a look. The data makes it really clear. If you really look at the data, it's phenomenally clear that the travel industry has been the hardest hit of all industries. When it comes to the virus, we've taken it worse than anybody. Let's look at some of the numbers. We're going to see a 45% decline in overall travel spending this year. That amounts to, across the nation, $1.2 trillion in economic loss. To put it in perspective, it's 10 times worse than September 11th. And many are saying the travel industry, we are not going to recover until 2024. 55% of all small businesses are saying they're either never going to be able to reopen again, or it might be 6 to 7 months before they can even recover. As I said earlier, 83% of all travel businesses are small businesses. So that's why it's so critical for us to get this travel economy back. By December, projections are showing that we'll have lost 50% of all the travel-related jobs. And let me put this in perspective. Remember earlier I said there's 15.8 million of us in the travel industry? Well, through May, 8 million of our colleagues and many of us were out of work and unemployed. When you put that in perspective, that's 51% of all the travel workers were out of a job from March through May, and some starting to come back now. But to put it in perspective, the Great Depression, the worst year of the Great Depression, 1933, it was 25% unemployment. Think of that, 25%, and the travel industry is twice as unemployed as the Great Depression. Yet I don't think so many of our leaders really understand how much this has really hurt us. When you look at the real implications of the whole economy as a whole, we've lost $402 billion. $2 billion a day is what is losing from the overall economy since March due to COVID-19. When we look at the industry, many areas have been impacted, but some areas have been impacted much worse. Especially hard hit was the airline industry. As we look at our airline industry, which is so critical to travel, let's look at some TSA numbers. Put a slide up on TSA. TSA screenings at airports have remained roughly down 70% year over year. Air travel's recovered from the lows. If you see the very lows there back in April, a lows of 95% year over year, and it's been coming back slowly since July. Last week, October 6th, was around 762,000 Americans got on or off a flight. Compare that in 2019 with 2.3 million Americans during the same week. So you can see how far down it is. And we've been monitoring all this sentiment. We work very closely with destination analysts, and one of your Californians and a great friend of ours, Aaron Francis Cumming, is really shares with us the data that they do, which really keeps a finger on the pulse of what's going on. We also work with Longwoods, MMGY, Engagius, Arrival List, and Adara. And we pull them all together to get sentiments on what's happening in America. Here's what we're seeing. We're seeing Americans are being more comfortable with the idea of flying domestically, and that's likely because of enhanced sanitation methods, enforced mask wearing and things like that. But still, most people are choosing to drive rather than fly. And I think the thing the airlines can do a better job of, and Ed Bastian, who's CEO of Delta, and I talk about this a lot. Ed said to me, he said, Roger, he said, if flying was so dangerous, why aren't my flight attendants sick? He said, we look at the same cities they come from, and flight attendants have a minuscule amount of COVID cases than anyone that lives in their community. And he said, when you think about it, he said, they're on flights 4 and 5 times a day, 4 and 5 times a week. I saw some international data the other day on air travel. Out of 1 billion people that have flown since March, there's only been 64 cases, 64 out of 1 billion due to COVID. But yet Americans are still afraid. And so that's one of the things we have to address. As of late September, nearly 2/3 of American travelers expect to travel this fall season. So that's good. So we got 2/3 thinking of traveling, and over a quarter plan to fly. But nearly 1/3 of that group, the millennials or younger, are saying they're going to fly by air. So that's good. So we got the millennials saying they're going to get ready to get on planes. However, it looks like road trips are going to continue to be the trend for the remainder of the year. And I don't think we're going to see those road trips converting to significant air travel until we get into 2021. California, I thought, did a very smart thing, and with their campaign, calling Californians. I mean, let's face it, in California, you have so much to see, and so many people live in California. The opportunity to stay in California and travel California, the beaches, the mountains, the resorts, everything you've got. It's really was, I thought, a very smart campaign. We know that the revival of the travel industry has to depend on air travel. If we can't get air travel back, we're not going to have a travel industry. And testing is really a key to that. When we look at testing, airlines and airports are starting to take the lead on testing. We're seeing that in California. San Francisco International just launched a rapid testing program at the airport for both their employees and a ramped up travel program for the travelers. United Airlines is now offering rapid tests. United Airlines is showing rapid tests out of San Francisco to Hawaii, so travelers can avoid that 14-day quarantine if they go to Hawaii. So these are the kind of steps that I think can really help bring us back safely. Let's look at Real ID. When you think of Real ID, remember, that's where everyone had to have a compliant driver's license by a certain date. And we were successful in getting it put off, Real ID put off until October 1st of 2020. We thought that would be fine. The problem is given this extended pandemic, it's hard for people to get the Real IDs. So we're basically calling for a delay and putting in any future demands for future IDs so people don't have to avoid air travel and we don't have disruption from air travel until the country recovers. So that's something we'll be pushing quite a bit. Let's look at theme parks. If you take a look at theme parks, similarly, theme parks are really struggling to come back and reopen. Presently, you've got Disneyland, Universal Studios of Hollywood, Knott's Berry Farm are all closed. But we've seen there are ways to safely open. And I think we've got to take steps, and it's things like providing masks for the visitors, limiting capacity to the parks, enforcing physical distancing, the requirements we have there, adding extra sanitation and barriers, and we're seeing that. Where I'm speaking to you right now from Florida, Florida opened, Disney World opened in July. Before that, Universal Studios was open, and I just saw a story in the New York Times that said they've had no outbreak of COVID among employees or guests due to the steps they're taking. So I know that there's a lot of pressure being put on by the Disney executives, Universal and Knott's, to the governor, to Governor Newsom, say, come on, let's get these parks open because there's such a livelihood of the communities around them. We put out all sorts of health and safety guidance, and the parks and attractions participated in putting those thoughts together. And they took many additional steps over and above what the industry is taking to make sure people are safe. So we've got to advocate to get the parks open. I also like to talk about, when we look at recovery initiatives, in the wake of all this devastation we've had a slight but not a robust recovery, let's face it. And we've got a twofold approach to saving the travel and bring back travel community. Number one is advocacy on Capitol Hill and at the state level, and also industry-wide messaging and marketing. If we can bring back travel just 6 to 8 months sooner, it's going to mean $71 billion of travel spending. It's going to mean $163 billion to our economy, and most important, 800,000 more jobs. So that's why it's so important for us to get travel back and get that spending back. And if you look since the outset of the pandemic, U.S. travel's job is to increase travel to and within the United States. So we had to pivot from that to basically moving towards advocacy and securing relief and protection for our industry that we desperately need, and ultimately putting proposals together to stimulate the travel economy. It's also critical that we get temporary liability protection. And this is very important. Let me explain that. What's going on is there's a lot of lawyer groups that are just waiting to be able to sue a hotel, a theme park, an airline, because someone says they got COVID at that facility. And of course, one can't prove where it happened. So we've got to make sure that we have liability protection, because we don't want these businesses to open up and then to get themselves sued and be put out of business. So liability protection is something we're working very hard to get. And so the thing is, what we've got to do is we've got to get Washington to move now. And I'm so frustrated with what we've seen happen with politics. And we are in a political world, let's face it. We've got an election coming up, but the lives and the wherewithal of our colleagues in the travel industry and our businesses shouldn't be part of that political equation. After all, we wear a white hat. We're Democrats, we're Republicans, we're independents. The industry isn't political, it's what's good for America. So what we've done to get that going, we basically joined 260 other groups, 260. This is states, associations, groups like yourself, to form what we call the COVID Relief Now Coalition to demand that Congress act immediately. We've been pushing a list of priorities to Congress that would provide relief, protection, and stimulus for the industry. And anything you can do to talk to your local members of Congress, senators, saying, come on, let's get this behind us. There's lots of stuff they agree on. Let's get the things we agree on agreed upon and fight about the rest after the election if you want. But the bottom line, you can't let these people go without pay, not able to pay their mortgages, not able to keep their businesses open. So we've been pursuing a list of priorities that goes along. we're right now looking at a minimum for we'd like a much broader package, but at a minimum, here's what we're looking for. We need Congress and the administration to extend the Paycheck Protection Program, as we all know, PPP. When PPP was put together, a terrible mistake was made. And what happened is at the last minute, one politician, I won't mention their name, asked that lobbying firms not be able to get PPP. Well, U.S. Travel's part is a lobbying firm. We can deal with that. I'm okay with it. But the bottom line, the lobbying firms are 501c6s, but so are so many other. All the destination marketing associations, or most of them, are 501c6s. All the museums, Broadway. So in that very broad brush stroke, they cut these folks out of PPP, and I know how much that's hurt so many of you. So this is a monster priority for us. We've had it in every possible bill, and we just have to get Congress to vote on it, and hopefully that will be included when they finally make a decision. We're also looking for to get relief for keep the industry afloat. There's $130 billion sitting in PPP that's unspent that could go to Main Street America and to jobs. So I think that's important. Last week, I think it was what I would call a complete failure of leadership, and that's by the administration and by Congress together. They all have blame here. I personally stepped way out of what I usually do and got very vitriolic, got very, very firm and accusatory to both the administration and Congress, and basically in an extremely firm way saying, come on, what are you doing? You've got to act before the election on behalf of our industry. And so we're calling for legislation now, so I could really use, and we can use, and you can use any help that you can give us along that way. Some additional things that we're doing. The most important thing was, of course, to get the health and safety guidance in place. And everybody's doing a phenomenal job at their hotels, at their destinations, at the airports and the airlines, doing a tremendous job on health and safety. So next we've got to inspire action. So we launched a campaign, and the campaign's called Let's Go There. And I know many of you know about it, and you've seen Let's Go There logo, and you've used it. And to ask Americans to do what's safe and productive right now, and that's make plans to travel. And I know the whole state of California has really been involved in this. And I want to tell you how grateful the industry is for so many destinations in California have come forward, taken the Let's Go There materials and really made them work. LA Tourism, LAX, Experience Sonoma, San Francisco Airport, and so many more of you have taken this and really made it work and made this campaign your own. And I think that's really helpful. So I want to thank all of you for really being a model as California as a state of showing how it can be done and getting engaged. And of course, I want to say Visit California has shown tremendous leadership here, both in the development of the program and also engagement from start to finish. Just to give you, I'll give you some results that we've had year to date from this very successful campaign. A big part of it was paid, and we raised a lot of funds, tens of millions to put behind it. And we launched September 14th on Monday Night Football. But I think even more important than the paid is the 3,000 organizations that are using the Let's Go There campaign and using the content on their own channels. After all, you all have your own channels, your own former guests, present guests, business you deal with. And to make that work, 3,000 organizations are doing that. That's resulted in 9,000 posts in social media, 600,000 engagements on Instagram, 53 million impressions on Twitter, and the posts and engagements are on Facebook, they're on Pinterest, LinkedIn, and lots of other social programs. We had 2 homepage takeovers, and the one was on launch day, which was the first day that was September 8th, we launched a campaign, and also on the first day of fall. And we saw widespread participation by everybody with the Let's Go There, and the Let's Go There logo was splashed across every one of your sites and home pages, and that was really helpful getting Americans to see that message. We also have been working very hard in earned media, or PR, and a lot of PR. People Magazine, tremendous exposure from People Magazine, LA Times, National Geographic, CNN International, Fox Business, on and on. When you look at the metrics for the owned placements, the national TV audience has had over 200,000 equivalent in publicity, the equivalent of $50,000 in print and online. They've had 737 million views, which is the equivalency of another 50 million in the campaign. And paid media placements so far have over-delivered and over 370 million views of the video. So what happens is people in paid media see this short little video, and then they can go on and watch the long video. And we've had 300 some million people have done that. We've had over 700 million impressions, which is 17% ahead of the target for the campaign, and almost $3.3 million in delivery value. So our goal with the whole campaign is to be broad and far-reaching as we can so that every single segment of the industry can get involved, which is difficult when you consider all the different rules we have going to the various different states. I'm really grateful to visit California. Carolyn Batetta, her team as coalition members, and how they got involved in the campaign when it was truly difficult to market travel. You had Governor Newsom saying, we want to hold on marketing travel to California. So what they did is, I thought was very smart, is they took Let's Go There and made it Let's Go There Soon. So Let's Go There Soon, which really gave the flexibility for other states in California to get involved without screaming, come to California, which we know we want everyone to do. So that's important. The other thing we've got to watch, I think it's awful when states put very broad brush quarantines in place. And we've seen that in New York, in New Jersey, up in New England, where they're telling people that you're gonna have to quarantine for 14 days. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. The key is really not quarantining people, but paying attention to things that make a difference. And we're seeing the airports and airlines investing in this and really lobbying to say, do the things that are smart. You know, wear a mask, keep social distancing, wash your hands. Now, I want to see those masks go away. I mean, I flew out to Nevada recently and once to California and to Las Vegas, and it's not fun sitting on a plane with a mask on, but I'm willing to do it as long as we can get this thing behind us and then get those masks off and get back to normal. But if we get everybody, and it's a two-way street, it's so important. One of the things I also think is a problem is some of the broad brush strokes that many cities and states have taken of saying how many people can gather in one place. Some people say 50, some say 250, but when you think about it, 50 people in a phone booth is a heck of a lot different than 50 people in a convention center like San Diego or LA or San Francisco, where you have 50 and you got 100 different rooms. You can put someone in every other room and still be okay. So I think we've got to really look at other ways than just a sheer number. So that's it. So when we look at, let's get back to health and security. If we talk about health and security, I'm going to go back on screen now. I went through a lot of slides there. But we've worked with a lot of medical experts when it came to health and security to put health and security guidelines in place. And that happened in May, and that went out to everybody. And it was food and beverage guidelines also. And everybody's doing, I think, a terrific job of really following those guidelines. The one thing I'd like to see is more consistency of what people to expect. I don't think it does us a lot of good to have one airport doing one thing and one airline doing another thing. I think we got to have a consistent set of things that everyone knows. You know what to expect when you go through TSA. You know when you go to TSA, you're either in pre-check or clear, or you're going to take off your shoes, take out your laptop, not have any water. You know that, no matter what airport you go to. I think we've got to do the same things. So because we've got to get people back to traveling again, back to meeting and events again. One of the things we're pushing very hard is testing. We had our CEO roundtable, which is the billion-dollar-plus companies of Disney, Universal, Marriott, Hilton, Delta, American Airlines, United, American Express, all come together. And we had our meeting of the CEO roundtable recently, and we had Robert Ford, who's the CEO of Abbott Laboratories, speak. And Robert Ford talked about a fast test that they've got. They've got it coming out. The government has bought all their supply through the end of the year. But come January, from Abbott Labs, you'll be able to go to CVS, Walgreens, wherever, and buy for under $10 a fast test. And I think that's going to be a big difference. Having a vaccine is going to make a difference, of course, but it's going to take a while. And I think it's going to take a while for people to take the vaccine. And we all know, even with the flu shot, a whole lot of people are going to take a vaccine. So a vaccine is a piece. And I also think we're going to see I'm seeing some medical evidence on what they call prophylactics or preventatives. There's several drugs that are coming forward that basically block your cell from getting COVID. So I think when we put all those things together, we'll see people start traveling again. Term I've heard a lot is health security is the new hospitality. So I think that's there to stay. Just like September 11th was, 19 years ago? 19 years ago, horrific, horrible thing that happened. But let's face it, we're talking about 4 planes on a specific day, and it hasn't happened in 19 years. But think of all the security that's changed. Think of cybersecurity and all the things that have taken place with cybersecurity. So I think what we've got is this whole health security. Many parts of it are here to stay. The good thing is we've got technology. Fortunately, this came along at a time when we're pushing for biometrics, contactless. We can do so much on our phones that we couldn't do before. So I say health and security is going to be the new hospitality. What do I see going forward? I see 2020 being slow. And it's coming back, and it's coming back each week. We're seeing it get better. We're seeing intention to travel get higher. But the big factor we've got is business travel and meetings and events. The challenge we had was in March, almost every company in America started putting out guidance to their people: don't travel, don't go to a meeting. And I think here's how it happened. I think people went to their HR department and said, do I really have to go to a meeting? Do they want me to travel? HR department went to the lawyers, and the lawyer said, I got an idea. Tell them not to travel. We can't get sued. So all these companies have put in, do not travel, do not meet. So we've got to get, with all the safety things we're doing, we've got to get those policies pulled back. And I think one of the most important things we can do as an industry is every trip we take, every time we go, talk about it. Tell people how it was. When you have a meeting, even if it's 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, talk about how well that meeting went. And we're going to have to pull this thing out ourselves. But the more we're talking about and showing people, every time I go on a trip, my neighbors think I'm a travel agent. I'm not, but they think I am. But my neighbors ask me all the time, how was that trip? What was at the airport? Were you afraid? And I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, the only thing that bothered me was, having to, wear my mask and trying to sip of water between mask wearing. But other than that, I said, I saw great standards in place. So I think 2020 is going to be a little slow. 2020 is going to get better. I think we're going to see towards the fall, the business travel start coming back, meetings and events, smaller ones, then larger ones, probably 2021 for the big meetings. International then is next. And we've got to get international back. International was $280 billion. So important to California. You think of the number of international visitors that you get from Asia, from Europe to California. We got to get that back. That is so important. And I also think we're going to see is we've learned a lot through things like we're doing today. We've learned a lot of how we can reach people, not as good as face-to-face and being there. We've learned a lot. So I see the meetings of the future becoming hybrid, and maybe you might have 100 people at the meeting, but you might have 500 people at the general session, and we can improve our reach. And I think we've gotten better at that. So I don't think anyone wants to sit in a meeting for 5 hours on virtual, but parts of the meeting we can have come out. We're playing with that a bit. Let's go to other things. ESTO. ESTO is our, for state and tourism directors and destinations, our great experience, usually 1,000 people. ESTO is coming back, and it's coming back to LA. August 2021, it'll be in LA, and we're going to put on ESTO safe and secure, and I hope we'll see you all in California there. Let's talk about IPW. IPW, we had to cancel IPW, and if those of you were listening to me or watching, wondering why didn't this idiot cancel IPW much sooner, I'll tell you why. Because we had insurance. We were one of the few associations that took insurance on the event. And the insurance company, Lloyd's of London, was saying to us, it was supposed to start May 31st. Even if people can travel on May 30th, you can hold the event. So we had to wait until we could absolutely say it's impossible with the travel restrictions. And the final thing that let us cancel and get the insurance was when Las Vegas said the convention center was going to become a potential field hospital, and they were doing testing in the parking lot. We said, that's it. And the insurance company agreed. So that's the reason we didn't tell you sooner, because we were playing a game of chicken with the insurance company. So that's what took place here. So anyway, what we did this year is we moved IPW to later dates, and it's going to be in Las Vegas in September. we figure by September, it should be a chance to get people back and get as many people as there as possible. It's going to be the first international show. So it's going to be a big one. I think we repeal these things. And I think what's going to happen with international, it's going to get opened up in the reverse order it got closed up. So first is going to happen is Canada and Mexico. So that's important for California. So your biggest markets are going to open first. Then it'll be EU and UK. And then Asia is going to be a little slower. It's going to be a little slower to get Asia back for many reasons, but it'll come back. If those of you that have friends in China, they could tell you right now, China's basically opened up. People are going to meetings, they're going to theme parks. They're coming back, life is normal. But so I want to see Asia come back. So we're going to open up IPW. It's going to be in September. We're open up a registration soon. We're reducing the rates for buyers. We're going to make it very inexpensive for buyers to be there so we can get as many buyers there for you as possible. And it will be safe, and you'll see different things that you may not see the 6,000 person luncheons. You may see a couple 2,000 person luncheons or different ways. We're going to do it different and we're going to do it safely, but IPW in September. So we're working with lots of other groups to get international open. We're working to get international testing. That's very important. We're talking with California and New York about getting bubble flights, where you'll get some flights that will go back and forth, let's say from Japan to Hawaii, international flights into California, working with Airlines for America, the Airlines Council International, all working together to open up international travel. So you hear more of that. I guess I want to close before I take questions with saying to those folks that say it's going to be 2024, I think they're wrong. I think travel is a coiled spring. I think people are so sick of being home, so sick of being cooped up, especially, I can't imagine, people on my team who are young mothers who have 2 and 3 kids and are in their house homeschooling, trying to do their job, staying at home. I mean, I tell you, they want to get out. They want to get out badly. So I think we're going to see that happen. It's like a coiled spring. As soon as it opens up, I think it's going to come back much faster. Why do I say that? September 11th. When September 11th happened, many of you may not remember, but I was there. People were saying people will never travel across an ocean again. They're so terrified of getting in a plane and having something happen to that plane, they will not travel internationally. Yet international travel came back as big as ever. September, you took 2008, the recession. We all remember the recession, how hard it was. People, they said, would be 30% of all hotels would be closed. The travel was hit like it'll never come back. What happened in 2009 in the next 10 years? 10 years of the greatest growth we've ever had. So for those 2 reasons, just watching those 2 things, I think we're going to be back, and I think we're going to be back bigger than we think. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I want to thank you for inviting me, and if we have a little time, I'll be happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Roger. That was such valuable information, and I'm glad that you ended on a happy note. I hope that we can all believe in that as well. We do have some time for Q&A, so if you guys want to submit your questions through chat, I'll make sure that I read them out loud to Roger. I know that Tony Hoover from Redline Tours had asked a question during the presentation that said, what can we do? I have Senator Hertzberg's ear. So is there something specifically that the community can do?
I think the senator should become your best friend, which she probably, here she, I don't know the senator, I'm sorry, but can be your best friend. But I think you've got to get to them and talk to them. And here's what you got to do. Don't talk, I mean, I go to Washington and I talk about billions, trillions, gazillions. It doesn't matter. It goes right over their head. When I talk about the tour operator, like one of your folks that's out of work, when I talk about them losing their house or not able to pay their rent, when I talk about these people that can't pay their kids' tuition, that hits home. So tell stories, tell the senator about what's happening, bring it home personally to what you're seeing, what's happening in your community. They'll listen to you because you're their neighbor, you're their friend. So that's what I do. I'd get to them, and we need your voice because they're going to listen to you, not to me.
Thank you. Joe Wagstaff from Midway Museum asked, does the Congress see the travel industry as a high priority?
They do see it as a high priority. Every year, everyone says travel industry, but that's as far as it goes. They see it as a high priority, but yet they're willing to let travel jobs be a pawn. in this in politics. And so from that standpoint, I'm very critical of them. They understand it. I mean, they get this thing. I mean, how can you have 8 million Americans out of work and not see it? How can you, I mean, California, a travel destination, I see it every day. But the problem is politics is taking a bigger road. So but this has made it much more clear to our lawmakers. The story, when you go in and talk to them now going forward about how important our industry is, trust me, they get it. We just have to get them to vote and to get this thing passed. Even though you're hearing bad things, negotiations are still going on. They're still talking. When the president came out and said, I broke it off negotiations, that's when I wrote my letter and said, you got to be kidding me. Then perhaps it's the way he negotiates. But the bottom line is, I say to Nancy Pelosi, I say to the president, I say to Kevin McCarthy, Californians, all of them, come on, let's talk, let's get this done.
Thank you. Brian Chan from South Coast Plaza, what are your thoughts about the Common Pass, and if U.S. travel will be advocating a universal safe travel system to promote international travel confidence?
That's a good question. First of all, South Coast Plaza, one of my favorite shopping destinations. South Coast Plaza was the first, God bless Warner, but the first destinations to understand that the international traveler and the travel business was their customer. And that you really showed the rest of the country how important retail and travel and how they're linked. I'm not big on a universal pass. And the reason I'm not is because there's many reasons why people should be able to travel. I think what should happen is we should have criteria of why you can travel. Did you have a rapid test? Have you had COVID? Are you taking a prophylactic? Did you, whatever, have you taken a vaccine? All those things roll up. And I think having an international pass, it sounds cute, but I think it's a real problem. And I think internationally, but what I do think we have to have is international sameness from country to country. I have no idea what has to happen if I travel to Japan or if I travel to Germany. I have no idea. I should know what I need to go to Germany, what I need to go to Japan. And so I think more than international pass is what we need is international consistency with many routes of how people can travel, not just a vaccination or not just one thing, but multiple ways that they can qualify.
You have time for a few more questions?
Oh yeah, I've got till 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I don't know about you.
We're going to keep you here all night.
All right.
Okay, this is from Bill Years. I hope I pronounced your name right. I don't know where you're from. I apologize. What changes, if any, oh, this is a tough one, do you anticipate with a possible change in executive leadership this November?
Change in executive leadership. Here's my prediction. The next president of the United States will be Joe Biden or Donald Trump. You can bet on it. No one else, one of those two is going to be president. So that's my prediction. And you can take that to the bank that one of those two will win. I stay the heck out of politics. But what I thought you were going, Bill, is what changes are we going to see that are permanent? And I think we've changed for good. As I said, I think health and hospitality are there to be good. I think touchless is going to be there forever. I think your smartphone, I mean, it's going to speed up biometrics and all these things, but there's a lot of things that this has made happen that have escalated. You mentioned the Dow report I do. I'm on recording the Dow report for next week with the president today of Ecolabs. Now, I've seen Ecolabs around the travel industry forever. I've never met the CEO before, but what a role they play in making sure our facilities, our theme parks. And so I'm going to be talking to him and pressing him on, what are you doing at Ecolabs? What kinds of things are here to stay? What kind of changes should we think about in the future?
Okay, this one is from Sarah Brainard from the Aquarium of the Pacific. She wants to know if you are in talks directly with Newsom to support Disney and Universal and others, and why are they sending a group to visit Florida when they've all been on webinars about how they've been doing. We all have safety protocols and are ready now.
You certainly are. I think sending a group to Florida is the optics required. I mean, they know what's going in Florida. I mean, trust me, Disney is headquartered in Burbank, not in Orlando. So everyone knows what's going on. Same thing with Universal. They know what's going on. And unlike Disney, I do applaud Josh D'Amaro and Robert Iger for stepping out and saying to the government, to Governor Newsom, come on, what are you doing? I mean, as I say, in Florida, they're all open, and there should be no reason why you can't open, and I applaud them. I mean, it was so sad just almost a week and a half ago when Disney announced 28,000 cast members were going to be unemployed. That's so unlike Disney. And I talked to the CEO, he gave me a heads up about an hour before the announcement was made, and it was breaking his heart. I mean, to have to say that, but that shows you, how deep this thing is. So, and you've got to get on, because it's not Disney. It's everything that happens around Disney. It's not Universal. It's not Knott's Berry Farm, but it's everything that happens around it, from everyone buying a new set of sneakers to go to the park that day. But everything else starts with travel. So I think, to the governor, let's get it on. Let's get those parks opened. And Californians know how to do things right, and they will do them right.
Jane Sandmeyer from the Huntington Library wants to know, will they actually postpone the Real ID enactment?
Of course they will. They're saying they won't. They said they wouldn't last time, and they would. No, there's no way. But the bottom line is we have to get them to do it. But no, they definitely will. I mean, because the excuses are rampant and the rationale. I mean, we should all have a real ID, but those that don't can basically say, I couldn't go get one. So no, they're definitely going to have to extend it. We just haven't officially. So much other stuff's going on, but we're just leaning on them. Come on, you've got to extend it. Yeah, they will.
There's quite a few questions. This one's from Anastasia Mann. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Anastasia, how are you?
She says, I connect frequently with Congressman Adam Schiff. Where we don't have a voice is the media. They only refer to restaurants and airlines. That's referring to the urgent need for new PPP for our industry. I guess it's more of a statement, but.
No, but Anastasia, you are right. The challenge we have with the travel industry is the good news is we're so big. The bad news is we're so big. It's easy. I would say it's easier for the airlines because you've got 5 or 6 major carriers that can make a lot of noise together. When you look at just U.S. travel, we've got 1,200 members. I mean, how many members do you have? I mean, Visit California and different cities, how many members? So we're thousands and thousands of small businesses. It's hard to get that voice heard, but that's why it's so important for all of us together. But she's absolutely right to get the media to understand. When you talk about lost jobs, I mean, the airlines, the jobs they're talking about, they're playing chicken with the government saying, hey, we're going to let all these people go if you don't get us our aid. That's a small portion to the number of jobs. We're talking 60 to 80,000 airline jobs. Not nice. We don't want that. But compared to 6 or 7 million travel jobs, the numbers are far outweigh why it's important. And that's why we've all got extra voice. But it's hard to pin down what travel is. Is travel Disney and Universal? Sure. Is it the Huntington Library? Sure. Is it the hotels? Sure. Is it the beach? Yeah. Is it the restaurants? So that's the challenge of us getting people to understand who we are as a whole. And we just got to keep banging at it. The job's hard, but we've got to keep at it.
I think we'll do 2 more questions if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So this one's from Carrie Taylor from Leisure Pass Group. The way we do business has transformed and people are doing virtual meetings versus trips, which might likely continue as businesses struggle to regain their market share in the next 2 years. How would a business travel deficit impact regular travel costs and the industry as a whole?
Loss of business travel or not coming back would have a phenomenal impact. Leisure travel is 2/3 of all travel is leisure, but it's less than 1/3 of the money. The real money is in the international business and meetings. So if that doesn't come back and doesn't come back as strong as it was, we've got real challenges. That said, I do think it will come back, and I will see it back. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be 3 months or 9 months to when it comes back. But it's so critical that we get business meetings, conventions, and international back. And leisure is coming back. And in fact, if you have one of the beach locations or an outdoor location, if you're near one of the state parks, you're doing pretty well. Some occupancies you can't get in these hotels, they're sold out. But for the city hotels, if you're in a city and you're near a convention center, you're not doing so well. And if we don't bring that back, we don't bring back the economy, because if someone doesn't come to a trade show, it's they're not buying products. They're not buying American products. If you take the International Heavy Equipment Show in Las Vegas, if that doesn't take place, guess what? They're not buying Caterpillar tractors or John Deere tractors or our equipment. Consumer electronics, if that doesn't take place, think of all the deals and all the electronics. It's the lifeblood of California that doesn't get done. So it goes way beyond room occupancy, airline and rental car and theme parks. It's about our overall occupancy. And you're absolutely right. If we don't bring back business and conventions, we don't bring back the economy.
All right, this is the last one, and this is from Katie from San Diego. It's a long one.
Love San Diego. I got a great new convention director there. Julie's a great friend, and the people in San Diego, one of my favorite places in the world. I love Del Coronado and just everything about San Diego. So what's your question, San Diego?
San Diego is a great place to be right now. Okay, I hope I read this right. Why would international locals be willing to welcome American travel when COVID-19 is spiking across country and we aren't taking the virus seriously? There's a reason multi-counties have bans against people coming from USA. Why would this change time soon? The winter's coming, numbers will only get worse here compared to the world. Yeah.
I think, well, a lot of that is media generated. If you actually look at the numbers and you look at the number of the 360 million people in the U.S. and the number of cases, number of deaths, it's not the same story, but that doesn't matter. Perception is reality. So we've got to do is we've got to continue to talk about cases going down. We've got to talk about the pharmaceuticals that we have. We've got to talk all the things the U.S. is doing to counteract those stories. And I often say to people, the media is not the world. I was, I travel around, and people internationally would ask me at international trade shows, why when people, around the world, dislike, the media would say, your president, why should anyone travel to the U.S.? I said, hey, what I read in the paper and what travelers are doing are very different. Those people want to come to America. They love America, and they're coming to America. And politics and place get separated. So I think we've got to work very hard. We've got to work very hard to tell people the story, what we're doing, successes we're having, and just keep bringing that home. And we've got to do that through our international offices. We've got to get the right stories to them and to international media so they can begin telling our story versus having our story told for us.
Well, thank you, Roger. I'm going to say a few more things about TTMA, but I don't know if there was anything else that you wanted to close with. We very much appreciate your time and your words today.
Well, I started out saying, as goes the travel industry, goes America. Let me say, as goes California, goes the travel industry. So we got to get you guys back full strength, or we don't come back full strength. Thank you.
Thank you again, Roger. And thank you to all of our members, guests, and first-time attendees for joining us today. I'm going to wait till Misha gets back the slides because I have a couple more comments, only a few more minutes. I wanted to thank T-Rev Productions for setting up our live stream on Facebook. We hope that you all enjoyed our event. And since we are ending a bit early, I'd like to take a moment to update you on a few things that TTMA has been working on behind the scenes. The board continues to meet monthly virtually to ensure the stability and future of TTMA. We will continue to create opportunities for our members and supporters to engage with each other and with leaders in the industry virtually until it is safe for us to meet in person together. We welcome any feedback and/or suggestions on topics, speakers, or creative ways to meet. Our next program is currently scheduled for Wednesday, November 18th, where we will hear from Lisa Reed and Jenna Dillon, two distinguished women who will share with us their thoughts on how we can be better versions of ourselves despite all that's happened during the pandemic. Keep an eye out for an invitation. This will be a little bit different than a lot of the data-heavy webinars that we've been hosting, so I hope you guys can all join. During September, when we went dark, we also collaborated with popular tourist destinations and filmed a hotel, attraction, and restaurant to share what the new customer experience is, as well as new marketing strategies these businesses have had to pivot to during these times. Coming this week to our Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn social media channels, we are thrilled to share with you our first video partnership with Catamaran Resort Hotel and Spa in lovely San Diego. As always, if you have any additional questions or comments at any time, please don't hesitate to reach out. Visit our website at ttma.org or email myself or Misha. We would love to hear from you. We are a family and we are one. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll end, as Misha always likes to add, a fun little quote. People do not buy goods and services. They buy relations, stories, and magic. It's pretty exciting to see the magic and the stories that our wonderful attractions are trying to create. We have SeaWorld San Diego's Spooktacular October picture right here. And I know there's a bunch of other attractions getting creative during this time. Thank you again for joining, and we'll leave a couple of minutes if you guys want to show your face and say bye, everybody. You can unmute yourself if you want, or I don't know if Misha has to do that for you guys. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Hi guys, good to see you.
Great meeting. Good to see you all.
Good to see everybody.
Keep the faith positive.
See you next month.
Thank you.
Great.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, Jay.
I love it. The last one.
That was awesome, Sarah. Good job.
Oh, thank you. I mean, thanks to
Nice
Misha
job.
and Trevor and all the behind the
Yeah.
scenes work. I'm just the speaker. I just read notes.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it was, this was a fun one to do. There was a lot of moving parts. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was great. Awesome.
Everybody have a great day.
You too, Sarah. Talk to y'all later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Trevor, I think you have the godly hand to end this. I don't want to leave you solo, Trevor. In your dark room in Vegas. Are you good to end it? Oh, you can't talk. Okay. All right. Well, bye, Katie and Rusty. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to hop off, and you can as well.